Alrighty, so I am going to begin. Again, if you just joined me, just wanted to let you guys know that I am streaming on Instagram and on TikTok. So I will be kind of moving around, looking down, looking up, trying to make sure that I am engaging on both platforms. So if you see me looking up or looking down, just know that I have two separate devices, which is why I'm doing that. So just want to start off by saying that I will be doing this live till about 9 o'clock. This is my first time doing a live, and I wanted to do a live to kind of talk about the stages of grief and cancer, my cancer journey, and some of you who may have experience with cancer or a loved one with cancer. One of the things that I think that we sometimes don't talk about is the grieving stages, and how that affects us, how it affects loved ones, and how we navigate through the stages of grief. A lot of times when you hear people talk about grief, one of the things that you think about is the loss of a loved one. Rarely do we ever think about the loss of our health, the loss of a job, just the loss of other things aside from loved ones. So that is why I wanted to kind of do a live stream so that we can talk about that. The stages of grief is denial. Denial is usually when you're having a hard time or struggling to accept your diagnosis. Anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. So for me, my goal is to kind of talk about each stage 1 week at a time, just because it's just so much that goes into each stage. I wanted to kind of focus on one stage at a time. So for tonight, the stage that we're going to talk about is the denial stage, like when you're first diagnosed, and kind of navigating that and overcoming that stage as you go through cancer diagnosis, treatment, and work your way through that journey to the end. So my back history. So a lot of people call me AJ on my platforms. My tag name is Nevertheless She Persisted, and that has been something that I have used as my screen name, just because of all of the things that I've gone through and how I have been able to overcome all of these things as I have gone through it. So I am from New York. Growing up, I grew up, dealt with poverty. I was a teenage mom. I had experience living in a shelter, being on public assistance. And throughout my time as a teenage mom, a single mom, I have been able to kind of navigate things. I always had goals, I always had dreams, and I worked hard to kind of get myself out of the negative environment. Moved from New York to Virginia, where I was able to get a job. I went to college, met my significant other, and we were able to kind of build together. And with the things that I've overcome, all of the barriers, the obstacles, like statistically, I shouldn't be where I am today. But again, working hard, I have been able to kind of navigate things in order to be able to provide a great life for my children. So again, with my name, Nevertheless, she persisted. Like all of the things that I've gone through, I'm still pushing forward, still doing the things that I need to do to be successful, to raise children so that they can be successful, and to kind of just live a happy life. So back in 2024, I was diagnosed with triple negative breast cancer at the age of 41. Prior to my diagnosis, I've always been pretty good with making sure I'm attending doctor's appointments, going for my annual checkups. And it was back in 2020, I believe, where I went to a doctor's appointment with my OB-GYN. And during that appointment, the doctor noticed a lump in my breast, my left breast. And I was being monitored every 6 months, getting mammogram and ultrasound every 6 months to kind of see if there's any concern, if there's any growth or changes in the lump, which there wasn't. Fast forward to last year, after my doctor kind of made me aware of the lump, I made sure that I was consistent with doing my own breast exams, and I came across another lump. And at that time, the doctor sent the referral so that I can get a biopsy done. And unfortunately, with the biopsy being done, it just discovered that I had breast cancer. I did do genetic testing, and with the genetic testing, it came positive for what's called RAD51D. So that genetic abnormality is what kind of put me at a higher risk of developing breast cancer and ovarian cancer. So that is where things has begun. Like, I don't have a history of breast cancer in my family. I'm pretty healthy. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do any drugs. So when you think about statistics and all of the things that I could have been doing, like just being a healthy person, being young and things like that, would have never thought that I would have to worry about breast cancer. But that is just, again, goes to show you that you could do everything right. You could be the healthiest person. You can kind of be living your life in a way to stay healthy, but genetics play a factor in it, and other things may play a factor in it. So it's not always anything a person is doing that would cause them to develop breast cancer. So when I was first diagnosed with cancer, I would say, as it relates to the stage of grief denial, I was definitely in denial. It was hard. The information was hard. I had to rely on my loved ones. My family was very supportive. My husband and my children were very supportive. But it was just a lot of denial, not really knowing how to process the information, not really understanding what having breast cancer means. I was immediately thrown into lots of appointments. I had to meet with a breast specialist. I had to meet with the oncology, and it was just so much information and hard for me to process it. So I would say after my diagnosis, it took about a few days to get in with the breast specialist. And during those few days, I was on an emotional roller coaster. I still went to work, had breakdowns at work, and still kind of processing the information. When you're told that your biopsy comes back positive for cancer, automatically you go into a panic, thinking worst case scenario, thinking about all of the things that you're not going to be able to do in life and how it's going to affect your children and your family. And it's just like, maybe it's not really as bad or what they say it is. So you kind of give yourself hope that it's not bad, but you're also, worst case scenario, trying to navigate emotions from one day to the next. So for the first few days before I had my appointment with the breast specialist, my mind was all over the place. When I finally had the appointment with the breast specialist and she confirmed that I did have breast cancer and everything that entails, the treatment, how long I would need to be on chemotherapy, immunotherapy, having surgery, and all of that stuff, it was just like an overload of information. And again, still kind of feeling like I was in denial. So the denial stage is usually asking yourself, like, is this really happening? Like, what if the tests are wrong? Is there a way we can get a second opinion? Or what is it, like, how can you, like, are there any other tests that you could do to kind of know for sure that what you're telling me is accurate? And that's the part about being in denial. So ignoring the symptoms is another area of denial that comes into play, which I would say would be prior to diagnosing what you have. Sometimes people may notice a lump in their breast or notice that they have something, an abnormality, whether there is discharge or pain. A lot of times we may just try to ignore it to say, oh, it's not anything, it's probably nothing serious, or you may contribute the things that you're feeling to something else. And again, that's just part of the denial, not really wanting to address the issue, because addressing it just brings on so many other problems, especially when you feel like you have a good control over your life. You got everything going on, and then you just don't want to be thrown something that's going to kind of take you or put you in a position where you're no longer in control of things. And I think that was the scariest part. Not being able to have control, like from the time of my diagnosis up until now. It's been almost a year. It'll be a year in February since my diagnosis, and not having control is something that I've had to and continue to have to kind of be able to accept, going with the flow, knowing that at the end of the day, I can do what I can do, and the things that I can't do, I just have to be okay with it, because it's out of my hands. Not being able to be my old self and just be as independent has been a difficult thing. But again, just knowing that each day, each treatment is fighting. It's me fighting for my life so that I can be cancer free and kind of get back to how life was. So after I was diagnosed, I would say that I didn't disclose a lot of things to family members throughout my family. The only ones that I did talk to were my immediate family, my parents, of course, my siblings, my spouse, my children, and any other family members, extended family members, I did not communicate with in regards to my diagnosis. I've always been the type of person that has been caring for other people, making sure everybody else is good. And I'm an introvert. I like to kind of be by myself and not really extroverted, like to be out there, center of attention. So just being able to keep that part of my life between me and my immediate family was a decision that I have made. And up until this day, a lot of people in my family are still not aware of what I am going through. And to me, it gives me some sense of normalcy. Some family members have found out, a lot of family hasn't. But the family that do know, they do check on me. And just thinking about my entire family, which is huge, knowing about what I'm going through, I think would be overwhelming for me, because I'm not really wanting constant calls and constant just reminders that I am dealing with cancer. I think my family not knowing makes me feel a little bit normal, because if I do communicate with my family members that isn't aware, it's just normal conversations, nothing specific to how I'm feeling, how my treatments are going, how surgery is, how I'm recovering. Like, none of those things are the topics. And when you're going through what you're going through, being able to have just anything feel as normal as possible, I think is important, and what's needed to kind of keep the spirits up and to keep from going into that depression stage. So when you think about the stages of grief and you think about denial, sometimes refusing to talk about it may be a form of denial, but it's not always a negative thing. Like I said, for me, not talking about it helped me keep things as normal as possible, because talking about it just made me more emotional than I really wanted to be. Refusing to talk about it may be something that can be negative if, when you're refusing to talk about it, it's not just not talking about it, but if also, like, if you're not attending appointments, or you're not following through with doctor recommendations, or you're putting off treatment, or you're putting off like appointments, like that kind of denial and avoidance can be negative and can kind of have an impact on treatment and how well things go for you overall. So for anybody that is currently in a beginning stage, getting a diagnosis, going through the diagnosis phase, just know that talking to your doctors, asking questions, reaching out for help, communicating with loved ones that you feel are in that inner circle is definitely important. Not trying to take it all on yourself. Being able to go through this on your own is definitely difficult. If you don't have anyone that you feel that you can talk to, or anyone that you feel could be a part of that inner circle, then again, going to support groups, reaching out to your nurse navigator, seeing if they have any resources or support groups in your area, because having that support circle is definitely important. I have joined support groups on social media, which has been a big help. A lot of times it's people that are going through the same things I'm going through the same emotions I'm going through, understanding the frustration, understanding just the emotional roller coaster that somebody that may not have a cancer diagnosis may have a difficult time understanding. But also with that, I would say that sometimes it's just too much. So if you are on social media and it's becoming too much with the information that's being discussed in the groups, you can always, again, choose to disconnect from that for a while as you're kind of going through with how you're feeling and what you're feeling and things like that. So always paying attention to how you're feeling, being honest with yourself, being forgiving to yourself, and not feeling like you have to be strong and courageous and happy all the time. It is definitely important. As a mom, I think that it is easy to kind of put emotions to the side, to be there to avoid the kids seeing me upset, to avoid my husband and my immediate family from seeing me upset. And that's just something I think that I do because, again, I don't want anybody to worry. But also understanding that when I do need to cry or be angry and need someone to vent to, that they are there for me for that as well. During the time when I was kind of feeling isolated at home, since I'm not working, everyone else around me is kind of still living life, going to school, going to work, doing things with friends, and I had to be able to reach out to my supports and kind of let them know when I had moments where I felt down. And thankfully, I do have a good support system because they were always willing to kind of do whatever I needed to kind of get my spirits up and to kind of make me feel included in things. So, again, this journey is difficult, and it's not something that everybody experience the same way. When you're dealing with grief and a loss of your former self, and when you're thinking about all the things that you used to be able to do and the things that you can't do anymore, and you're wondering if you're ever going to get back to being the person that you used to be, again, it gets overwhelming. And again, no one knows what the answers to those questions will be. It may be a time where you realize that you're never going to be that person again, and that's okay. Just being able to figure out what you need in order to kind of continue to push forward, taking things one day at a time. So denial, I think, is a stage that's not always a stage of grief that's not just at the beginning of the diagnosis. I think that for me, being in denial about a lot of things has been a continuous thing. From the beginning of the diagnosis, like I said, it's been almost a year, and there are things that I'm still having a hard time coming to grips with. So when it comes to the stages of grief, a lot of times people move back and forth between the different stages. You may go through denial, you may go through anger, you may go through depression, you may feel that you're at a point where you're accepting what it is and where you're at. Then you may go back to the whole denial stage and then the anger stage. And it's a continuous cycle, and there's no right or wrong way of going through the stages of grief. I think that for me personally, I have gone through each stage: denial, anger, bargaining, trying to like figure out, okay, if I do this, maybe then this will be better or that will be better. After going through chemotherapy and immunotherapy and trying my best to exercise when I had the energy and the strength to do it, making sure I'm eating as healthy as I can eat, doing everything that I need to do to keep myself healthy throughout the treatments. I had surgery and the margins were good. And to me, it's just like, okay, I've done everything I needed to do. So does that mean that I am done and I'm able to celebrate? And unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. I still had treatments that I had to continue. I'm still doing treatments at the moment. So I think that bargaining is just doing whatever you feel that you need to do just so that you can be better and back to yourself. I have gone through depression and, like I said before, to the acceptance stage where I thought that I was at a point where I accepted everything, the journey, the loss of control, the health, not being able to do things, but then something else tends to happen and it's back to the beginning. One of the things that kind of threw me back to the beginning of the stages of grief would be being informed by my employer that they were no longer able to hold my position at my job. So that kind of just threw me back in this whole emotional roller coaster stage, because it's just like when you feel like you're at your lowest and give me a second. When you feel like you're at your lowest and that you have support, and then you lose your job. So just again, back to denial, back to just like, this can't be happening. Wondering, like, why is this happening? But again, it's a part of the journey. It's a part of the journey. And all you can do is take things one day at a time, one step at a time, having faith, leaning on your supports, and knowing that everything you're going through, there's an end game. And that's the part that's important. So this journey is not an easy journey. I think anybody that's dealing with health issues that are unexpected goes through the stages of grief, and just figuring out how to navigate that and being able to understand that you're not in it alone is definitely definitely something that helps. So again, my goal for tonight was to kind of talk about grief, to kind of get people to kind of understand that this journey is it's just unpredictable. Some days are good days, some days are bad days. Some days it's just you just trying to get through, and at the end of the day, everything will be fine. So, with that being said, like I mentioned earlier on, if you are just joining me or you haven't been on throughout the entire time I've been live, my goal is to only be live until about 9 o'clock, and I wanted to kind of share my journey and talk about the different stages of grief. This time around, my focus was primarily on just the whole denial stage, and next week I'll do a live again to focus on anger, which is also a stage of grief that I wanted to touch on. And I was hoping that I would be able to kind of hear from some of you guys if you're experiencing a cancer diagnosis, and or if you are a family member that may have a loved one who is currently going through these stages of grief, or have gone through it. I would definitely like some input from another person's point of view. So if there is anybody out there who would like to kind of join my live, just let me know. I am streaming on TikTok and Instagram. So I see that I do have someone that has requested to join on Instagram. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let that person join and kind of see if they have anything that they want to share. And if there's anybody else on TikTok or Instagram that wants to join, just put in a request to join. This is my first time doing live, so bear with me as I figure out how to navigate this whole thing. Okay. Alrighty. Instagram. Let's see. Alrighty. Hello. So I have someone joining live on Instagram. If you guys are on Instagram, you'll probably be able to see. If you're only joining me live on TikTok, hopefully you're able to hear the conversation. Like I said, I am new to this and I'm using 2 different devices. So if you are unable to hear on Instagram, let me know. And I will try to navigate the system. So on Instagram, I have my lovely cousin, Shanae. How are you? Thank you. So I'm glad you requested to join.
I love you so much.
I love you too.
You are amazing. You and many survivors. And
thank you.
Many people. And I love you so much. I don't want to cry.
Thank you. I love you too.
I'm here for you and always will be here for you.
Thank you.
And I know it's a lot.
Yes.
I know it's a lot, but you're doing it. So that's what matters.
Thank you. So I do have some questions. So since you wanted to join my live, get ready for some questions. All right. So as I mentioned earlier, that when I first got my diagnosis, it was just immediate family. So you would be one of the family members that didn't know right away, even though there's so many people that still don't know. I definitely appreciate you just for being able to keep that to you, because again, it's just feeling overwhelmed and not wanting to worry people, not wanting to just not wanting a pity party. That's like, I'm the type of person that likes to laugh and like to joke around, so I just don't want everything to always be somber. So tell me, like, when you first found out about my diagnosis, how was that for you?
I cried. I'm not crying. I cried because
you're gonna make me cry.
Sometimes I just feel like she don't deserve that.
Yeah.
And not that anybody deserves that, but I didn't expect it. Because it's Isha. Isha doesn't party. She doesn't, it's just different. It's just different. And you know how close we all are, so it was just a little different for me. It was just different, but I respected your privacy. I didn't get upset that I didn't know right away. I think I know. I think the timing that I did find out that I was told about it, it was enough timing for me to know it was a comfortability for you. All I cared about was being there for you. I don't care about anything else. I don't care about anything of that. It's your body.
Yeah.
It's what you prefer, and you have to respect that. It's not about what I want and how I feel.
Yeah.
And I respect that, you know. I when I was pregnant, I didn't tell everybody I was pregnant. It's my body, it's my choice. So I respect that, and all I care about is your health.
Yeah.
I didn't take it personal at all. I was just happy that you were getting better and you were doing what you needed to do, and you were getting help. I don't care about any of the other things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Support. Now is my time to support. That's all that matters.
Yeah, and you have definitely been a great support. I recall getting text messages from you checking in. So I had to ask Dika, which is my sister, for those of you who are not familiar with this family, and I'm just like, does Shanette know? Because it's just like getting a lot of, I hope everything is well, I hope you're good, like getting a lot of those text messages. I had to think, like, I'm wondering if she knows what's going on.
You know how you do. You don't text your back. That's why, he thinks you know it's real.
Yeah.
But I'm going to always, I understand, what the privacy is, and again, you don't want everyone to cry. You don't want everyone to, because that doesn't always help,
Yeah.
So I definitely understand, and I just love you so.
I love you.
I love you. Just always know that I'm always be here through everything.
Yeah.
So
I love you too. And again, I can say that I do have the best family. I have a large family, but I do have the best family. And even though we may not always talk, I know that if I needed to talk or I needed to reach out or needed to cry, that I do have you guys there, and vice versa. I'm just never the one that calls just because I feel like
but it's okay.
Being a burden. Like, I don't want to be a burden. I don't want to make somebody's day down. Everybody is going through struggles. Everybody is dealing with their own things.
You have to realize that you're never a burden. That's all with that. You're never a burden. Never a burden. And I learned that as we get older, I'm very more private now with my life. And it's not always a great thing. We deal with so much things in life, but you're never a burden. Don't use that word. You'll never be a burden. You're never a burden. Never. And that's in general. You will never be a burden. I would never think that you're bothering me, or I will always take my time to make sure that you are okay. That's it. We don't have to speak every day. We didn't have to speak every day. We have to. You need me now, I'm here now. It doesn't matter. So don't feel that way. And you have to remember that always being alone is not the best thing. You need people. You need us. And I mean just for conversation, just for anything. It's not about money. It's not about, it's literally just about a voice to say, when you text me and I text you, it makes my day. It does not, I go days sometimes I'm just like, well, did we speak yet? Oh no, I didn't even speak to Isha. Let me text her. Let her know I'm good and she's good. Make sure she's good. And I know that makes you feel better. Just know that I spoke to you. That's why I say, how you feeling? You have a good day, a bad day, it doesn't matter. I just want you to just, be okay. You're not a burden. You're never a burden.
Thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you always. Always. I love you so much. Are you out having dinner? Is that what you're doing?
I'm in Columbia.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I'm glad. Yeah, no, you're good. But I'm glad you were able to join and you requested to get on. But I love you. I love you. Okay. All right. Bye. All right. So hopefully if you are on TikTok, you were able to kind of hear, like I said, I'm live streaming on TikTok and on Instagram. If you are someone who has is currently going through your cancer journey, has been diagnosed with cancer, or is in remission, or have a loved one that is going through cancer and you would like to join my live, just put a request in. I am trying to learn how to navigate this these apps, so I don't think there's anyone that has requested to join on TikTok at the moment. I have another request in my live on Instagram. So I'm gonna have that person joined. And if you are asking questions or commenting or anything like that in the lives, just know that with me navigating to different screens, it might be hard for me to see everything that's coming up. So I apologize if I don't see or respond to any questions if I don't see it. But again, if you are on TikTok and you would like to join to kind of share your journey, I would definitely love that and appreciate it. And I am going to go to Instagram because I have another person in my box, which is my mom. So a lot of love on Instagram. I got a lot of my family members are on Instagram. Unfortunately, when TikTok was banned, a lot of people that didn't have the app was unable to download the app, which is why I'm trying to live stream on 2 platforms at the moment, because majority of my family and supports are on Instagram and not on TikTok. So I am trying to kind of do a live so that everyone could be a part of it. I did create a separate social media page just for my cancer journey because, like I said, I didn't want everyone to know about what I'm going through. So on my social media page, Nevertheless She Persisted, is only family members that is aware of what I'm going through. I have a whole another page, my old social media page, where I post things that I'm doing with family, going places, or just family events and conversations where I have family, co-workers, or old co-workers and friends. And that's just a whole nother page that of people who are great people, but just not included in my journey at the moment. So let me see if I can get this person up. Let's see, go live. Let's Miss Guns. And again, this person that has requested is my mom, and she is on Instagram, and she is a big support. So I don't know if she is tech savvy. She learned how to put in a request to join, and we'll wait and see if she is able to actually join, because I'm not too sure what the screen looks like when I do submit for them to join me. All right, so we'll wait and see if she is able to join. So if you are on TikTok, thank you for joining me. Thank you for all of the hearts. I appreciate it. If you have any questions you want to type, while my attention is to the screen, definitely type any questions that you may have. And again, next week I will do another live on Wednesday at 8 o'clock, the same time, 8 Eastern time, and I will talk about, again, the stages of grief, but the stage that I will be focusing on is anger. So that would be the next stage. Denial is a stage that is something that when you're going through, or when you first diagnosed, you are just struggling to accept the diagnosis. But like I had mentioned before, you can get through the entire 5 stages of grief, which is denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance, and then wind up back in a denial stage when something else is thrown at you. So always know that there is no right or wrong way to go through your grieving, your stages of grief, and there is no time limit on how long you are in the stages of grief. So just keep that in mind, so that way you understand that everybody is different, everybody goes through things differently, everybody may process this whole journey differently. Some people may not be phased at all, some people may be an emotional wreck throughout the entire journey, and either one of those things is okay. Like I said, I'm back and forth with my emotions. Some days I'm good, some days I feel like my old self, but some days I'm just not there, and like I said, that is okay. So let's see. I wasn't able to add that person to join. So I wanted to see if I can get somebody else to join. Let me do an invite. Nurse Key, if you're still on, are you able to join my live? We got about 10 minutes left. Let me know in the chat if you're able to join. Alrighty. Nurse Key is on. So if you are on TikTok, we have somebody else join on Instagram. I was hoping I would be able to get somebody to join on TikTok as well, but I haven't gotten any requests. But if you are watching me, I would like to say thank you for watching on TikTok. I will eventually figure out how to navigate both Instagram and TikTok live so that is one screen and easier to navigate. But in the meantime, I am trying to use two actually different devices to do my live stream. So if you're on Instagram, you will see that we have somebody else on ready to join the conversation, and this person is my sister. Hey. So I'm glad you're able to join me tonight. Again, the goal was kind of talking about the stages of grief and the denial stage. And I know with me going through what I'm going through, how I process everything and accepting a diagnosis and all of that, what it means is different from a family member. Someone who was called immediately when I got the diagnosis, and I was just a wreck and just there on my appointments, there on my surgeries. Like, you kind of been in the forefront with my spouse, with my partner, and a lot of times you've had to kind of be strong for me and my spouse.
Absolutely.
So I know that you just had a lot to deal with. So when you think about like the whole denial stage and the diagnosis, like as a family member, how did you feel like you went through any stage of denial where you had a hard time kind of believing a diagnosis and kind of just...
I wouldn't say that I was in denial. I just was hopeful that it would be something that was easy to treat, that it was early on, that it was caught, and that I was hoping that you didn't have to do all of the treatments that you
had to do.
Did have to do. So yeah. So I would say just more hopeful, just like hoping, like maybe it won't. I mean, I guess that's kind of like bargaining or whatever. Like maybe or not. Some form of denial when I'm like, well, maybe it's not so bad. Maybe it'll be something easy. But I knew that, you're a very strong woman. So I knew that you would get through it.
Thank you.
And so, the crying and releasing and as a woman, I think that we all think about our kids and don't want to see them. But, if you need to cry, I say go and cry, go in the shower. That's something I've had to do many of times. Just and then come back out like nothing ever happened.
Yeah, definitely.
I think I was though when you told me, I was like, I think the first day I was trying to process, I was in shock.
Yeah.
And just like I did feel like helpless, just because I felt like it was nothing that I could really do to make things better. Yeah. And so
what advice would you give to family members? Like family members that would be at the forefront. There are family members that, again, people may have, but when you think about like your inner circle and family members that may be at the forefront of the support, like what advice would you give to other family members who may have to kind of step up and be that support that's needed?
What advice? I mean, I honestly, I don't know. I mean, I feel like if you are that person that's, the person that whoever is getting the diagnosis and you are the person that they lean on, then it's like you just do it. Mm-hmm. It's not without a question. You just do it. Like, okay, like anything you need, let me know, and so just to be there, to be the support, to listen and to, give advice when you can, to be there. Like, I mean, 9 times out of 10, if it's somebody that you that you're leaning on is somebody that you talk to often. So just trying to keep you in good spirits and not to overthink, because I know that that's something you do. Yeah. And
even till today.
Just taking things one day at a time, not overthinking it, and because it most of the time is not as bad as your brain wants to make it. Stay off of Google, because Google. Yeah, and WebMD.
Exactly. So Google is not always your friend when you get a diagnosis. Google will have you thinking that you only have less than 24 hours to live.
Right. I know I have to tell you to stay off of there plenty of times. Like, get off of there.
So Google is not always your friend. Always being able to ask your doctor questions, making sure you write down questions for your doctor, and they're really open to answering the questions. And one of the things that I can say is that hold on. All right. I don't know what just happened on TikTok. But one of the things that I can say is that when I first was diagnosed, my sister was at every appointment. My sister was able to answer questions that I just didn't know to answer. When you have so much information coming in at you, having somebody else there with you helps, because the doctor's talking and half the things the doctor is saying is you're not even processing it. So I would definitely say that has always been a big thing of having you and having the support there. And another thing that I would give you kudos for, getting me out of the house. Getting me out of the house and trying to figure out things to do to kind of get me out in the world, because it's easy to isolate, and it's easy to kind of just be stuck in a routine when you're not feeling well, and eventually it becomes like you get tired of the house, but then you don't want to go anywhere because you don't feel like going anywhere, and it's just like a constant cycle, and then you start to feel depressed, like, well, if I wanted to go anywhere, I don't even feel good enough to be out and doing anything,
and then you don't want to be around a whole bunch of people either.
Exactly.
So I mean, it was understandable, but I tried. I know a few times you told me, we could do something another time, because I always try to go overboard. Let's go do this.
So having the support of the family has been extremely helpful. So I want to thank you for joining my live tonight.
You don't have to thank me for any of that. I do it because I love it.
Thank you. Alrighty. So it's about all right, so I'll talk to you soon. I love you.
All right, bye. Love you too. Bye. I don't know how to get out of here.
I don't either. I was about to figure that out.
I don't want to press the X. It's going to close out the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm not even too sure how to get you out of my live, but I'll let you either sit in while I close out. Oh man! So again, this is my first live. So if you're joining me on Instagram or TikTok, just know that I don't know how to navigate any of these things. So I'm surprised I was able to get people to actually join my live where they're visible on the screen. But it is almost 9:00. We'll be doing a live again next Wednesday at 8:00, and it'll be kind of continuing on the discussion about the stages of grief and particularly the stage of anger. I think a lot of people go through that phase, and that's just definitely one I want to have a conversation with. But before I do end my live, I did print out a little, it's called the I Don't Know prayer that I wanted to kind of read. And somebody has sent me this, and it definitely, I think if you are a spiritual person, if you are a religious person, this is something that may have a positive impact on you as you're going through what you're going through. So it's called the I Don't Know prayer. So what you want to do is, when you do this prayer, you want to go somewhere where it's quiet, and you would say, I don't know. I don't know where to go from here. I don't know how to process this. I don't know what to do with these emotions. I don't know how to handle this situation. And then with whatever dusty little sand or grain of faith you have, you say, but you know. And then you leave it there. So I just wanted to leave with that. Just all of the I don't knows, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. Whatever the I don't knows are, just know that God knows. And sometimes you just have to have faith in knowing that you may not know where the end of this journey leads, but when you have faith, you know that everything happens for a reason, and that sometimes you just have to let go and just enjoy this journey. Go for a ride and just give it all to God, and just have faith. So that's how I will leave you all today. So thank you guys for joining my live. Thank you, TikTok. Thank you, Instagram. Thank you to my family that joined us live today. So until next time, you guys take care of yourself, and hopefully you'll join me next week. All right. Take care. Bye.